Across the vast grasslands of Serengeti National Park in Tanzania, the morning sun gently spread over the mist, making the scene even more magical and peaceful. Moving through sparse trees and lush green bushes, Tabo, a young wildlife ranger, set out on his daily patrol with a heart full of passion and a deep love for nature. Since he was a child, he had dreamed of dedicating his life to protecting the wild world. And now, Serengeti National Park was the place where that dream had finally come true. Every morning before heading out, he carefully checked his off-road vehicle, making sure he had enough water, medicine, and spare medical equipment in case of emergencies. Along the way, he often stopped to observe footprints on the ground, listened to the calls of birds, and felt the pulse of the earth and sky. It was his way of learning about the mysterious lives of the creatures that called this land home. Then one quiet morning at dawn, something unusual caught his eye. A small bloodstain on the dry grass. A sense of unease crept into his heart. He stopped his vehicle and stepped out quietly, tiptoeing along the droplets of blood soaked into the weeds, wondering with growing anxiety what animal might be injured and in need of help. After walking a short distance, he spotted the majestic form of a male lion lying motionless. Its golden fur was stained with dried blood and tangled in sharp barbed wire. Tabo's heart pounded at the heartbreaking sight. Carefully, he approached, medical kit in hand, trying to stay calm so he wouldn't startle the lion. The wounded animal let out a weak growl, lifting its head with tired, lost eyes, then let it fall again, completely exhausted. The barbed wire had dug deep into its flesh, wrapped tightly around its shoulders and back, causing several bloody wounds. It was clear the injuries needed skilled and patient intervention. Kneeling beside the lion, Tabo took a deep breath and pulled out a pair of pliers. Sweat trickled down his forehead as he began cutting away the sharp metal, all while speaking in a soothing voice to help keep the lion calm. The tense moments stretched on, the sound of metal being clipped mixed with the soft groans of the injured beast. Finally, the last strand of barbed wire fell away. Wasting no time, Tabo quickly applied antiseptic and wrapped temporary bandages around the wounds to prevent infection. Despite its injuries, the lion, now freed from the cruel grip of the wire, breathed heavily. Its body trembled from fatigue, yet in its eyes there was something new, relief and even gratitude. Tabo murmured soft words, giving the lion a name, Asani, meaning brave in the local language, to mark the extraordinary moment. Then he carefully stepped back, giving the lion space to see if it could stand. Slowly, Asani lifted himself, staggering a few steps before turning his gaze to Tabo, as if trying to remember the face of the man who had saved him. And then, under the golden light of dawn, Asani disappeared into the tall grass, leaving behind the shredded barbed wire and traces of blood on the ground. That moment touched Tabo deeply. It strengthened his resolve to keep protecting and coexisting with all life in the wild. Weeks passed. Life returned to its usual rhythm, and Tabo continued his patrols across the vast Serengeti. One afternoon, under a clear sky, he caught sight of a familiar figure in the distance. Watching him from across the golden grasslands was Asani. The lion, though somewhat recovered, kept his distance. He observed Tabo's every move with a calm, unwavering gaze. There was no sign of threat, only quiet recognition. From that day on, Tabo was never truly alone on his patrols. Asani was always near, silently watching over him. Soon, his colleagues in the park began to notice the large lion following Tabo's vehicle along the dirt roads. At first, there was concern. Was the lion a potential danger? But Tabo reassured them. Asani wasn't a threat. He was a friend, and time proved him right. The lion never attacked or showed aggression. Instead, he followed from a distance, like a silent guardian of the ranger who had once saved his life. Whenever Tabo stopped his vehicle to examine animal tracks, Asani would pause too, waiting patiently until Tabo returned to the car before, continuing to follow. News of their bond spread through the park, attracting curious visitors eager to witness the extraordinary friendship between man and beast. One evening, as the sun set over the horizon, Tabo noticed Asani sitting atop a rocky hill, watching him. It was as if the lion was waiting to make sure Tabo got home safely. The sight was breathtaking. Two beings from completely different worlds, united by trust and respect, but nature, as always, was unpredictable. During a harsh, dry season, a herd of distressed elephants rampaged through the western region of the park, destroying trees and infrastructure. The severe drought had left them desperate, their tempers short, their behavior aggressive, and the park authorities quickly ordered the immediate evacuation of tourists camping near the elephants. Tabo was among those assigned to ensure everyone's safety. As he worked swiftly to guide the tourists away from danger, he became separated from his team. Stranded on a low mound surrounded by reeds and broken tree stumps, Tabo realized with dread that the enraged elephants were closing in. The ground trembled beneath their immense weight, and their deafening calls drowned out all other sounds. With nowhere to run, fear took hold of him. Just then, a thunderous roar echoed across the plains, cutting sharply through the chaos. Tabo knew that roar. Asani. Charging like an arrow, the majestic lion burst onto the scene, throwing himself between Tabo and the elephants. With his fangs bared and eyes blazing, he stood in defiance. Startled by his fierce presence, the elephants hesitated. Asani let out another roar, even louder this time, a challenge to the towering beasts before him. The largest elephant turned toward him, trumpeting loudly in response. Yet Asani didn't back down. He moved with astonishing agility, dodging their powerful tusks with each step, every movement a calculated effort to draw their attention away. This was his land. He was its king. Seizing the chance, Tabo sprinted toward a higher point of land, away from the elephant's path. Once he reached safety, he turned back, just in time to see Asani still standing firm. His golden mane shimmered in the fading light, his body unwavering despite the danger. The clash of roars and trumpets filled the air, a wild and powerful symphony that echoed across the Serengeti. And finally, as if realizing the battle wasn't worth the cost, the elephants, exhausted and cautious of the fearless lion, turned and slowly retreated. The moment they were gone, Asani collapsed, panting heavily. Tabo rushed to his side, dropping to his knees and placing a trembling hand on his mane, whispering soft words of gratitude. His heart swelled with emotion for this incredible creature who had risked everything to protect him. Thankfully, Asani had only suffered some bruises and exhaustion. With great care, Tabo lifted him into his vehicle and rushed him to the park's veterinary station. News of what had happened spread quickly. Everyone in the park was amazed by the depth of loyalty and courage shown by the wild lion. The story of how Asani saved the ranger rippled through the community, leaving all who heard it in awe. Asani recovered in the days that followed. Though still weak, every time Tabo approached, Asani would turn his head toward him, as if to quietly remind him that their bond was still there, unbroken. Their friendship became legendary. Visitors, conservationists, and staff spoke of it often. Tourists came from far and wide, hoping for a glimpse of the rare and beautiful connection between the ranger and the lion who had once saved his life. And when Asani finally regained his full strength, he returned to the wild, to his territory. But he never truly left. Every time Tabo set out on patrol, he could feel Asani nearby, watching, protecting, from the shadows. The memories of everything they had been through together, each struggle, each quiet victory, had become a permanent part of him. Around the campfire at night, the park staff often told the tale of Tabo and Asani, a story so moving it felt almost mythical. When dawn broke, Tabo would once again drive into the heart of the Serengeti, knowing that somewhere out there, Asani was watching. The scars on Asani's shoulders, left by the barbed wire that had once imprisoned him, had become symbols, marks of resilience, of survival, of gratitude. They were reminders of the unspoken bond between man and lion, a bond that time and nature had forged in silence and trust. Across the shifting seasons, Through rain and scorching sun, they continued to meet. They didn't need words. The moments they shared, sometimes just a distant gaze or a quiet presence, spoke more than language ever could. Tabo would never forget the day he first touched the lion's mane, the day when fear gave way to trust. And though the wilderness remained unpredictable, he moved forward with confidence, because he knew, deep in his heart, that he was never truly alone. One evening, after another long day's patrol, Tabo looked out across the horizon and saw him again. Asani, sitting on his usual rocky perch, the same spot where he always watched. From a distance, silent, strong, always there, their story, a tale of courage, kindness, and the unbreakable bond between man and nature, would be remembered and retold for generations. If you found this story inspiring and touching, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. We'll continue bringing you more captivating and heartfelt stories. See you in the next video.